To talk about today in our 15 minutes why it's critical to set a retirement income goal. So we want to focus on that, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I get a screen that looks weird. We may stop and figure out what we need to do in that, so I'll apologize. I only have 5 slides to show you today anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem. Well, as I said today, and welcome to the second one we've had, we're going to have several of these 15-minute sessions. Today is you kind of pop the question that seems intuitively obvious, why it's critical to set a retirement income goal. However, most people approaching retirement have no idea what their retirement income goals should be. And as I've said in previous presentations, they are looking for you to do it. You know, the nationwide survey said, you know, if you don't do it as their advisor, they'll drop you. And so I think it's very, very important to understand the importance of you helping them plan their retirement and talking about the issues they don't necessarily want to talk about because they don't know enough about them. And a retirement income goal is something most people don't want to talk about. But let's go back to how this is tied to Social Security and how we tie it into our Social Security Plus program. As we talk about, they all want to come and attend a workshop or even come to an appointment in your office to learn about how Social Security will be a part of their retirement plan. An interesting statistic put out by a survey by AARP, we all know of AARP, and the U.S. Census Bureau in April of this year stated that Social Security will provide less than 50% of the income for over 50% of the population. Less than 50% of their retirement income and for 50% of the population. There's another 25% of the population that says it will provide between 50 and 89.9% of their retirement income. But let's focus on the 50% that are your prospects and target clients. So they come to you and they want to understand Social Security, and we help them, and they want to understand the Social Security strategies that may help them. And we can talk about all those strategies in the upcoming weeks. On the 15 minutes, I will talk about that in terms of how we factor in those items. But the key for us is that if they want to take advantage of a spousal strategy, they have to have other income if they're going to retire during that time frame. And so we have to talk about those assets. And yet, I find and have heard from many agents, they'll do the Social Security education and then they won't get to the other assets. And we have to get to the other assets. So a simple question is, what's your retirement income goal when you sit down? And most clients will say, I don't know. Well, what they will usually use is their reference point is the past 5 years of their life, which is where their current income is. But current income is not necessarily future retirement income. Obviously, they are living in a budget, or we hope they're living in a budget within their current income while they're both, one or both are working. And they're going to have to do the same thing with their retirement income, which is whatever retirement income they have to live within that for their budget. But what should they consider in determining their retirement income goals? Well, one of the first things I want to tell you is and that I'll go to that is that we've covered that during the years of retirement, it's not a straight line. It can be a straight line, could be a straight line down. We know we want it to be a straight line or a straight line going up. In other words, retirement income goes up. But for a lot of people, it's starting at a point in time and going down to hopefully meeting them at the same time they arrive at the pearly gates. Well, the key here is that what should we factor in and consider? And again, it's very hard for people to see 25 or 30 years out into the future what their needs are. So it's a process. Retirement income is, and managing it is their new job. I've said that over and over a number of times. But your new job in retirement is managing your retirement and managing your retirement income and your expenses. So what should we consider when we get to that time we're thinking about retirement in terms of what my goals should be if they don't have a clue, and if the past 5 years is not a good reference point, the next 5 years is probably something that we can get our hands around. People can foresee what the next 5 years might bring. But then they might have hopes and dreams about what those 5 years might be that could be realistic or it could be unrealistic. They could be spending a higher amount of money. One of the things that someone once told me is that it used to be that your 60s were your go-go years. Well, I say today, actually it's more like the 70s are your go-go years, where you do all the travel, you do take trips, and you do play a lot of golf, and you do the things that you look forward to as a part of your retirement lifestyle. Then the 80s become the slow-go years, and the 90s become the no-go years. And obviously the expenses during those 3 decades changes as well. And as best you can forecast, you'd like to try and figure those out. And there are a number of ways to do it. A lot of the big financial planners in the world say you need to plan on 80% of your pre-retirement income as your income goal in retirement to have a comfortable lifestyle that you've been used to living to. I think that's probably a good average, but I think that technically from a standpoint of where we're talking about, we really just need to try and personalize those to the individuals because everybody has a different view of how they're going to approach their retirement. So I want to point out it's not a straight line. One of the obvious things that I think you can put on the table in discussing with them is taxes are often overlooked. After you retire, you don't have W-2 type of wages. You don't have the ordinary taxes. You don't have Social Security taxes to pay on earnings. But you do have assets that are generating, many times besides ordinary income, they generate taxable items which are taxed, such as capital gains and dividends, taxed at a different rate. So you actually many times can have a reduction in taxes that are being paid. The other one that's a big one to forget is everybody during their working years is doing what? Trying to save for retirement. So they probably had 401k contributions, IRAs, whatever tax-qualified retirement plan they were putting into, that was taking a hunk of their paycheck, or at least a portion of their paycheck. That no longer is going there. So it's like found money, so to speak, in terms of when you start to think about it as part of your budget. It's really not, it's not your pre-tax or your pre-retirement contribution income you're shooting for. You're shooting more for an after-tax type of income. And again, some people don't even know what that is. They try to live within their checkbook. They don't try and live to a budget. But again, if you can help them through that process, make them feel more comfortable, doesn't need to be that high, you'll be on the road to establishing trust and confidence to get to those assets that you want to help them manage. And the last item, which is expenses change. I think this is a big item. If you've commuted to work or you had work clothes, uniforms, other things that you had to buy for work, those expenses go away during retirement as well. And you may not just be driving around as much because it's not work related. You'll find that your expenses change. It can go the other way as well, which is I have too much idle time and I increase my expenses. And this is something that you need to talk with your clients about as well and trying to arrive at what their retirement goal is. So these are kind of little helpful tips that I would point out that you might have to kind of begin the discussion about, okay, in factoring in what our retirement goals should be, you ought to consider these types of items. But let's look at something else, and I think that's important, which is how do you get to those facts? And in this piece, we're talking about the Social Security Plus and our IPG proprietary estimator that we developed. Matt Coleman and Carrie Freeberg, two of our key actuaries here in IPG, developed a great tool to use that is very, what I call, disarming in getting the client to open up and talk about all their assets. And these are ones that we have used. We have found them to be just as useful as we thought they would be. And more importantly, we have found them to be great fact finders, but they're actually guides to help the client reveal what their potential retirement income could be, and also reveal how you can help them develop that type of retirement income. So we have done that, and we want you to learn more about this after the call today. So please call us here and talk to one of our IPG advisors to learn more about our estimator tool, as we call it. Let me take you to a look at that, what the estimator looks like. For our estimator, this is going to take into account the Social Security benefits that we find people have, but with very simple inputs, as you can see on this screen. This is an online tool, and on this screen you can see that we ask for, and I will use my pointer to show, that we're going to ask for their birth date information, and we're going to ask for their Social Security benefit, PIA and FRA. Those two terms is primary insurance amount at full retirement, full retirement age. And full retirement age for most people you're talking to are going to be between the ages of 66 and 67. I will have more upcoming 15-minute talks on this, helping you understand these terms and how they are very important in determining their Social Security strategies. But getting this off their Social Security statement will help you begin the process of opening them up and helping them understand it. And we'll talk about how this tool, along with our Maximizer tool, which gives them a Social Security report, can work together to give them a much, much clearer picture of how their Social Security benefits work. But taking this, we will show their Social Security benefits as a part of their total program. Now, if you look at your screen closely, you're going to see this is what our estimator tool is. Everything on here stays on this screen as we work with your clients. And you can see it as a bar graph type of thing that is dynamic. It moves. We move these cursors over and they change. So one of the key things here is retirement goals, what age, in this case 62, the default, and we can show them where they fall. But the very next question is, what's their annual retirement income goal? You know, there's one somebody said, can you help me get there? And I said, well, I can if I know where you're going. Well, if people want to know what their retirement can have a retirement they achieve, we have to know where they're going. What's their retirement goal? Now, we move that. This is a black line up here. That moves up and down based upon where we arrive at their retirement goal. And as we work through the process of uncovering their Social Security strategy down here, these two things, along with other assets where we can include pension, rental property, other income, we can then also show them the benefits of the Social Security supplement programs we talk about, which are our annuities with income riders. And we can plug in assets to show them how they can close this gap. In this case, we're showing this is their Social Security benefits between the two of them. This is the gap up here, this white space, is their retirement income need from other assets. And those are the assets that you and we are going after to help them achieve their retirement goals. So why is retirement income important? I think in this discussion you can't know where you're going unless you know where the target is. And we have to talk about the retirement income. So hope that helps you a little bit. There are other resources out there online and in the web that you can find about talking about what should be, how to set retirement income strategy or income goals during retirement. Should you change them? Should there be a straight line? One of the things I did not talk about on here in this presentation is essentially inflation. Right now, inflation has not been a pest, but we know we do live with inflation. It does affect our future purchasing power, and it is something that can be discussed. It gets very difficult to illustrate it and be comfortable with illustrations because it is a variable number from year to year and what's going on in the world. But again, that's why we talk about 30 years. We have to manage through those 30 years, and you can't lock it down in year one. So I hope you find this helpful. It's a good point to remind yourself that talking about retirement income goals is a critical step in helping your clients plan their retirements. And finally, I'll wrap up by saying join us next week. I won't be here, but as we will have a special presentation next week at this time, and we're going to discuss F&G's brand new MYG. It's an exciting new product. They're going to announce it on Tuesday, and we will be talking about it and giving you the details on Wednesday of next week. And then the following week, I'll be back with you on a new topic that we'll talk about. We'll send out, look for our blast, and again, have a good week, a good Labor Day weekend, and good selling. Thank you.